Going back to an old school is something most of us have done in our lifetimes. It's always quite mystifying going back to what your life used to be like. You begin to remember how happy you once were, all the friends you no longer talk to, all the teachers you no longer see every day, and the person you were however many years ago. But you're not that same person. You've grown up. Siren's Call is a game about growing up and learning to let go. This video will be a mostly spoiler-free review for those interested in this free Steam visual novel. I'm planning on making a lot more of these kinds of reviews for free games off Steam as a sort of pet project of mine. So what is Siren's Call all about? Well, let's start with the more surface level stuff, and then we'll dig down into the nitty-gritty of it later on. First, let's talk about this music. It's pretty darn good, isn't it? All the music in Siren's Call was made by two groups. A Bay Area band named the Pocket Protectors, and who I assume are a pair of producers by the name of Jorge Brenes and Lily Garcia. The Pocket Protectors, from what I could tell from listening to the two songs they had up on Bandcamp, usually play and make quite zany and upbeat music. However, the music they made for Siren's Call is more pared down compared to their usual style. For an example, listen to this. It's lunchtime again, I want something to eat. And then compare it to this. The much lighter guitar work, the less distorted bass, and the less aggressive drumming, they all contribute to this more serious and melancholy vibe that the game gives off. That very precise feeling of summer nostalgia, the heat melting your memories into one distant blob of something so familiar yet so out of reach. I just want to say before we move on, Lotus, which is a song recorded by the Pocket Protectors for this game, is one of my favorite instrumentals ever. As for the other half of this game's music, made by Jorge Brenes and Lily Garcia, it's some appropriately tropical electronic music, with a lot of plucky strings and these big wailing synths that are calling at you like a siren. These tracks are mostly used in plot-important moments, with some songs being remixed for certain scenes and given a different name. If you do plan on playing this game at the end of this video, I would recommend buying the fan pack on Steam to get your hands on this OST. Now onto the art. The character art is not really all that notable, classic anime-style visual novel stuff. However, the background art is quite unique by visual novel standards. Most of the exterior scenes and some of the interior scenes take place on what are presumably real-life images of a town in Florida, put through an image filter which emulates the feeling of an oil painting. This, combined with the previously mentioned stellar soundtrack, add to the game's feeling of being in a memory, the nostalgic past being relived over and over and over again. Siren's Call is not the best looking game, however, it works with what it has to help convey the narrative, which I think is the highest praise I could give to something made by a studio consisting of all of two people. Siren's Call is a game about growing up and learning to let go. you take the place of Oliver, a teenage boy from Florida who is tasked with the simple goal of saying goodbye to your friends. However, your friends all have some unresolved emotions, in part due to the Persona-style adventure you guys had during the summer, in part due to the uncomfortable overfamiliarity you guys have with each other, and the most important factor, latent childhood trauma and other developmental issues. So, you have to resolve these emotions by letting them wail on you with a chair, feed you cookies, or by talking about the stranger with them. Oliver is a bit of a blank slate, but this is intentional. A large part of his arc is his struggle to be his own person. Whenever one of his friends talks to him, they feel like as if they're talking into a mirror, a false reflection of themselves or their other friends. As Oliver is so obsessed with understanding others and taking care of them, he forgets himself. He becomes Play-Doh to be molded by whoever, a robot to be fed whichever chipset, as one of his friends describe. Throughout the game, he has to rebuild himself, brick by brick, to make himself a person again. Gameplay-wise, Siren's Call is a classic breaking out of Groundhog's Day type thing, where every time you reach the end of the day and finish making preparations to properly leave for college, some disaster happens, keeping you stuck. Then you return to the same morning, August 12th of 2011, waking up at your girlfriend's house. Well, maybe I shouldn't present this in the second person, because this game makes it quite clear, especially in its opening act, that Oliver is not beholden to the player's choices. No matter what you tell him to do, he will act on what he thinks is right in any situation. However, it's up to you to push him in the right direction, as sometimes he just plain doesn't know what to do. But don't get him mixed up. This is his story, not yours. Every new day in Siren's Call is another step closer to finding the truth of why you're stuck. However, the town does not want you to leave. Elements of the game begin to break down. All the locations on your map are positionally scrambled. Nothing is where it's supposed to be. Your friends grow ever more on edge and prickly. A lot of the dialogue in this game is Oliver trying to defuse an emotional bomb he had unintentionally set into motion. Every so often, the game hits you with one of these. At first, these scare the fuck out of me, but the more you play this game, you slowly begin to look forward to these as they lose out on their fear factor, but add to the building mystery surrounding the town and your friends. The slow breakdown of reality which the game follows centers around Oliver's girlfriend, Violet, a girl who has been coddled most her life as she suffers from epilepsy and has constant seizures, turning any hard walking surface into an immediate hazard. So, she has to stay on the same beach all day, every day. Oliver only got close to her at the behest of her mother, Miss Lawrence, to make sure her daughter didn't accidentally hurt herself and to attend to Violet's needs. As a result, Violet has become obsessed with the idea of escaping everything. She wants to be free from gravity, fly away as far as she can. So, when Oliver pleads with her to come with him to college, she denies him because she doesn't need him, and he doesn't need her, and she wants nothing more than for her little Olive to be free. Free from his old life, free from his mistakes, and free from who he was. His other friends also learn to let go, each leaving behind their petty childhood selves. Ashton learns to admit their mistakes in exterminating the sirens. Emil, his inferiority complex. Andy, her self-destructive drive to protect the others. And Judith, her unrequited feelings for Oliver. The point of this game is to let go of being a kid. To let go of what you wanted and instead seek what you need. We have to act. Otherwise, everything about the people we'll become is going to be decided for us. The writing in this game is quite excellent. It captures those exact feelings of saying goodbye to your old friends. All the awkwardness, melancholy, and sincerity of those last moments are captured in vivid accuracy. Every character is written as a real person with their own depth and interiority. So whenever you share an intimate moment with them, it feels like talking to someone you know. Siren's Call is able to turn the most mundane things into heartfelt, emotional moments. Something as simple as Oliver taking a meal to look at some hermit crabs turns into a discussion about Emil's rigidness of perspective and how he needs a new shell. Oliver has a set of cute nicknames for all his friends, and they have something in return for him. From the very beginning, it's obvious that these people actually knew each other. Nothing about how they communicate feels off or unfamiliar. They all have baggage and lore with each other, which makes this fictional friend group feel all the more real, ultimately helping you relate even more to Oliver and his little gaggle of buds, trying their best to escape Siren's Call. So, in conclusion, you should play this game. Don't let the Steam tags fool you into thinking this is a DDLC-like experience, because it's not. However, to me, it's a much more compelling story, because we all at some point need to let go. Next video is either about Auron or another Steam game.